Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. And excuse me, I'm gonna light my mood candle here. There we go. I like the wood crackling wicks. I don't know if you guys like those or not, but anyway, welcome to week 52 of weekly wrap-ups. And funnily enough, we're going to have a bonus week next week. I'm literally just going to call it bonus week instead of have it be numbered. And I know I explained this a couple weeks back or whatever, but what happened is that I started my weekly wrap-ups at the beginning of this year, like midway through a week in January, December. It like ended in the middle. So we have almost a full week of December left, even though this is week 52. So I'm still going to do a weekly wrap-up that is my final week of December because, again, I have a whole week to read and I have quite a bit of time to do it. So I don't want to like skip that week or jump over it or anything because I'll probably be starting, you know, some January books and everything. So point being, big intro as usual. This is week 52, which will technically be the last week, but it's going to be week 52 and then we'll have a bonus week next week. That will be the final reading that I did in 2021, which I'm very excited about because it's kind of a free week for me, and I have lots of fun books I'm ready to start. And then something that I do, I've done the last 2 years, I've made it a tradition, is that New Year's Day, I like to do a 24-hour like reading marathon. Not that that's different from other days, but I make sure that I have like all my work done, and so I'll do kind of a vlog for that where I'm hoping to read some books either that I didn't get to in 2021 or I'm just very excited to start. So I'm going to do that as well. So also we do have some new channel members to mention, and thank you so much. We've had quite a few additions lately and that means so much to me. And I know I do talk about channel memberships a fair amount, but I know I don't like push them too often, and I don't want to. I always want like channel memberships to just be something that complements what you already get from me. You know, it's about having extra access to things or earlier access, but there is no real content that you are being kept from by just being a subscriber to my channel. It's really only if you're able to, you know, help me, and channel memberships were a huge part in me being able to take a job that I enjoy so much more. Because I did have to take, you know, 2 pay cuts in 2021 to finally get to a job that I want to be at. And, you know, over time, I'll get back to where I was, but I would never have had the courage to do that or the financial support to do that if not for YouTube and specifically my channel memberships. So anyway, I just want to share that and let you guys know that it really does mean so much to me. Those of you who are channel members, but even if you're not, even if you can't support me that way, you watching my channel, being subscribed to my channel, liking my videos, those really are things that help, you know, add, you know, people who buy ads on your channel to know that there's lots of interactions happening and that you have good content. So if you can't do anything else, you watching this video, you are supporting me. And I just wanted to remind people of that because obviously I'm going to do some shout outs for people who are able to support me, but you watching this video, you're just as important to me because you keep my channel going and you help keep me inspired. And the kind messages specifically I've gotten in the past couple months have been so buoying to me. And actually, you know, I keep this kind of away from my family knows that I have this, but I found out one of my aunts watches a lot of my videos. So Gina, if you're watching this one, thank you very much. It's a bit awkward when you find out family members are listening to you talk about romance, but hey, I mean, I'm an adult. I have to remember that I'm an adult and my family is very supportive. And my dad, I told him there's some equipment that I want to get and he gave me some gift cards to, he's like, I didn't know what stuff to buy you, so here's some gift cards to kind of support your business and do that. And I was like, my dad's kind of the best. And I've shared before, like, especially when my channel was really small, he would watch, sorry, I need my computer to be on. He would watch all of my videos and just like mute them so that he didn't hear these sexy times I was talking about, but he would watch all my videos. So my family really is so sweet about it. And that's just really helped me confirm that, like, this is something that I want to pour my passion into. So, okay, I spent 5 minutes about that. Let's do the shout outs. We have some new members to shout out. So we have Lisa Fitzpatrick, who joined at the Faded Friend level. Thank you so much, Lisa. We have Maddie Stockman, who joined at the Romantic Renegade level. Thank you, Maddie. Welcome to the Book Refuge family. And then we have Mariana M., who, she rejoined, actually. Sorry, reading these. And so did Victoria Maria. So those were some rejoins. That happens quite often because, you know, we go through times where we can't necessarily be a member for a while, which is great. So, okay, enough of that. Let us dive in, because I was able to get through some amazing books, and I'm actually finishing my rereads. I do have, if you'll see, I do have a couple left, but based on what I've reread already, I'm pretty confident in what my favorite books of the year are going to be. So I'm going to wrap up my rereads. I have one more that I'm finishing, and then I will be filming my favorites of the year video, which I'm so excited to film. That's always just so much fun to just completely gush. Not that I don't gush on a daily basis about what my favorites are. So let's go ahead. For a special project, I read Then Came You by Lisa Kleypas. This is actually the first in the Gamblers of Cravens. I'm trying to push those together. So this book actually comes before Dreaming of You. And for some reason, this is a book that I had held off reading. I, didn't know if it could live up to the hype of Dreaming of You. I did really love Dreaming of You. That was absolutely a 5-star read for me. But I'm not a Craven, I'm not lost for him. I like him. He's a great character, as a lot of Lisa Kleypas' are, but I'm more sold by her Ravenels and Wallflower Men than I am by Craven. He's just not exactly my perfect archetype, but we do get to see him in this book, and we have our heroine named Lily Lawson, who has a pretty big secret. She is seen as a spinster. I believe she's like 25 or so, and she is actually pretty much best friends with Derek Craven, and she is one of the only women who has, I think she is the only woman who has a membership at Craven's, and she's allowed to gamble there, and she is known by all the staff and very much beloved by them, and her and Craven have a very interesting relationship. It's clear that he actually has some feelings for her, but he sees himself as below her, and never wants to let her get that close because he doesn't feel good enough for her. Obviously feelings that he will carry over into when he meets Sarah in his own book. But then we have our hero named Alex Rayford, the Earl of Wolverton, and he has lost a fiance before, and it hurt him quite a bit because he cared for her deeply. So now he's looking for a female who will be biddable and sweet and can bear him his heirs, and he won't have to worry about feelings, So he's that type of guy. And so he sets his eyes on Lily's younger sister. The only thing is, Lily's younger sister is actually in love with someone else. But again, she is very biddable and sweet, and so she wants to do what her parents want. And Lily kind of bows to the plea of this man she's in love with. I believe his name is Zach. And she decides, especially when she meets Alex, that he will not be a good mate for her sister, and she's going to try to foil this possible marriage. And it's a battle of wills, and it is wonderful. And there is a scene in here that Lily gets herself into a very sticky situation, and the way that Alex handles it and the things that he's thinking about her, there's actually a line that, I made a quote of it, where he's starting to fall for her, because this is one where the man definitely falls first, and she has this hatred of men because of her secret that she's keeping. And he says at one time, he's like, "You can hate all men except for me. When have I ever tried to hold you back or change you? Let me in," Oh God, it's so beautiful. I'll put up the real quote if I still have it. I think I have the graphic that I made for it. But I really loved Alex so much, and I loved him and Lily together. And though, it's one of those where you just want her to share her secret, because we know that Alex will completely accept this secret, but she is just too scared because she's been mistreated for it before. And it was wonderful. This was a 5-star book. Lisa Kleypas knows how to write them, and I had a great time with this. So you'll see more about this book in my special project that it is coming out for. And I have another book for that special project we'll talk about later. But yeah, so 5 stars for that. Then I read an arc of Scarred Regrets, which should be coming out this coming Wednesday. It comes out on the 28th. This is book 5 in the Belandi Crime Syndicate. And this one is actually about Scar, who I was so excited to read his book because it's been a while since I read this series. But as soon as I started this arc, I remembered who he was. He's actually the bodyguard of the heroine from the first book who marries the capo. Her name is Ivory. Is her name Ivory, or is this heroine's name Ivory? I can't remember, but anyway, he is the bodyguard of her, and he actually took quite a few bullets for her back in the first book, so he's very close with the family. He is not a blood Belandi. I always am going to mess up their name. But he is a blood brother of theirs, and he also has a very traumatic past. He was a male prostitute to feed his sister when he was young, and she ended up actually succumbing to her drug addiction. She overdosed, and he was just ready to kill the world, and he got taken in by Mateo's father to be one of his made men, and he to this day has a problem being touched. And then we have our heroine, who at first glance would appear to him, his first glance, would appear to be a spoiled socialite. She's the daughter of the mayor, I believe, but she actually runs a home for orphans, basically. And she catches the eye, like she catches Scar's eye when she's out at a club and really wants to be with him, and comes to realize that that may not happen, and she's really trying to win him over because she's actually friends with the woman that he bodyguards, right, Mateo's wife. And so Mateo's wife keeps trying to help them out by going on lunch dates with this woman, so he has to come with because he's her bodyguard, and she's doing a little bit of matchmaking. And then something bad happens to our heroine that really kind of flips the script. And man, this book, this was uncomfortable in the way that Adelaide Forrest can make you hurt and make you worried about how can this possibly work? How can this be a fulfilling love story? And the journey back from what happens to our heroine is very painful. I mean, the trigger warnings for this will kind of give away what the issue is. So if you don't want to know, just quick skip ahead a second, but I will tell you what they are if you need trigger warnings. There definitely is rape that happens to our heroine, and torture, and scarring happens to her and stuff like that. It's very painful. But it isn't something our hero is unfamiliar with. So it's very interesting because he thought she was too good for him before, and now she doesn't feel good enough for him after what happens to her. So I won't say more. This was wonderful. I believe there's supposed to be one more book in this series at least. She announces it like at the end. And there's also going to be another series about another couple we meet in there. So yeah, Adelaide Forest world is all kind of connected, and they're all like mafia. So this book, I gave it 5 stars. I was very impressed. There was a bit in the middle where it was going to be a 3-star read, but I just couldn't stop reading it, and it was wonderful. Then I read Dark Devotions by Nichole Greene. This was a reverse harem, and here's the thing. You guys know how I feel about reverse harem. I've said it over and over again. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but I really don't want to read reverse harems anymore that don't have at least a few of the men who are bisexual, because I don't enjoy sexy times where we're not all connected. I don't enjoy relationships that revolve around one person, and it's why reverse harems don't work for me. I know they work for other people, and again, there's no shame or no hate against it, but I want everyone to be deeply connected to each other. And I had seen just quickly on a TikTok that someone said that the men were connected in this one, you know, that this was MMMF. And I just have different definitions than other people. Like, there is a shared sex scene in here where the men are willing to touch each other and even, you know, get close to some body parts, but they're not fucking each other. I just said it. There is no stuff. It is MFM when there is a shared scene. And I just don't want that. I don't want that. The setup of this is there is this group of 5. You know, there was the heroine and her 4 best friends when they were in school. And something happened. I don't fully comprehend the past. But they had actually been trying to have a polygamous relationship when they were teens. Because they all had this deep connection and they were all willing to share her. And also they were all best friends. So they were willing to share her and they never really felt jealous. One of them kind of has a bit more jealousy than the others. But for the most part, everyone's okay sharing. But then something happens and she ends up with a husband. She ends up married and she ends up cut off from them and doesn't speak with them for a long time. She's being abused by her husband, and in the beginning of this book, the very beginning, she's escaping and she decides to go back to her friends even though she hasn't talked to them in all this time. So she shows up at their doorstep. They're now all like billionaire geniuses who whatever, and they just take her right back in, and she's back to being shared by them. And yes, there are 2 of them that are willing to share a partner, like in the actual scene. And there, even near the end, is a scene where one of the men, the one who doesn't like to share as much, he likes to share if he's in control of the scene. So the other men let him be kind of like the coordinator of their sex scene. But there isn't any fucking. And so they're not all in a relationship. Like, they might all be friends and be willing to share, but that's not the kind that I want to read. I don't have any desire for it. So I felt cheated by it. And again, I'm very hesitant to read these, but I thought it would be that because of the way this TikTok was framed, that when the men are willing to get in on it, you know, but it's my fault if I didn't look enough. And so I only gave this one 3 stars. Also, not just because it wasn't MMMF. It was also just because the writing for this was very clumsy and the way that they just fell back into it. And then there was like kidnapping and there was just too much going on in this story, and it was only like 260 pages. So it was just her going from man to man to man, having sex with them. And then I was like, this wasn't a deep enough story, and I didn't get what I wanted out of the, you know, mixed scenes. So it didn't work for me. Then I did my reread of Savage Tracker. This is one of my 6-star reads. This is book 5 in the Mafia War series. This is about Obrecht and Selena. I won't talk too much about this, but I absolutely love this. This one is BDSM as healing. Our heroine was in a forced master-slave relationship with her husband, who literally made her a slave, not the kinky, fun kind of slave that is consensual. He actually made her a slave. And she is now divorced from him, but still kind of in hiding because her husband is still a threat in some aspects. He's not happy about being forced to divorce her or any of these things. And the Ivanovs kind of take her under their wing, and they have her living in one of their apartments, which is very safe and it has security. And they asked Obrecht, who also lives in this building, to keep an eye on her. Now, Obrecht, he is a top. He's not really a dom. He likes to scene with people. He likes to go to BDSM clubs and have scenes with people, but he doesn't keep a sub. He doesn't have a full-time partner because he doesn't want that. But when him and Selena meet, they both kind of recognize this kinky desire in each other. However, Selena's very conflicted about this because she doesn't understand why she craves submitting to someone after she was forced to submit for all this time. She thinks maybe there's something wrong with her and that Obrecht won't like her. And he's afraid of being too dominant with this person who was forced to be a slave all this time. So there are a lot of issues that they have to work out. But I love this because there's therapy included in this. There is, again, BDSM as healing and showing her, like, you do have a say, like, you have a safe word. You're able to get out of the situation if you want. And it isn't so much of, like, you ceding control to me. It is, you're letting me in control, but you are still in control of everything. It's a shared control. I have the illusion of being in charge of you because I'm telling you what to do, but you're the one who's letting me do it. So it's an equal partnership. And I love that. I love this. So it's one of my 6-star books, obviously. Then I reread Run, Posy, Run, which is also a 6-star book. I love Dario and Posy. This book is so interesting. It's a quickie, but this one is a couple. It's crazy because it's a second chance romance. Kind of. But it's also them showing themselves to each other for the first time. So our heroine is she has been in the mafia her whole life. She's the daughter of a trader. And for the last few years, she has, you know, used her body, used her female wiles to be taken care of by men, particularly men in the mafia. And she's let herself be a doormat. She's let herself be used for pleasure and for her looks and to be arm candy. And then when she has just broken up with kind of a shitty boyfriend that she had, Dario has had his eye on her. And so he starts dating her, and he actually is ready to propose to her so this book starts out with that. He gets a video from another member of the mafia who's trying to fuck up his relationship, and he sends an old video, like a video from when our heroine was a teenager, of her having sex with her boyfriend at the time. And he had kept a video of them fucking, and Dario is so enraged that he won't listen to anything Posy is saying about the fact that this is an old video and that she didn't even like what was happening to her and that that boyfriend was mean to her. He is enraged, and he kicks her out of his house and tells her she better run because the next time he sees her, he's going to kill her for cheating on him. He thinks she cheated on him. No cheating has occurred, let me be clear. Now, Dario is definitely a psychopath. And one of my favorite conversations in this book is that he calls Posy his one person. He said the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is her to him, because before he met her, he was a psychopath who didn't care about anyone's feelings or what they wanted. And now Posy is the person that he wants to care for, that he wants to protect. And he doesn't realize that until he sent her away. And he pretty much immediately realizes that he's been duped and that he's being stupid. And he goes about trying to get her back. So this book touches me so much more than I would expect to. Again, it could be easy to look at this and see Dario as the one who is completely in the wrong. And he is in the wrong in the respect that he won't listen to anything he says. He obviously didn't really respect her. He doesn't really care about her feelings because he thinks that she's just fine with whatever. And he's not totally wrong. She has just accepted whatever men has given her, and she's never asked for more. And it isn't until he treats her this way that she's like, I have just let men treat me this way forever, and I won't anymore. And so when Dario gets her back, she has higher expectations this time. And it's very interesting to watch him struggle with that, because he's like, why is this a problem all of a sudden? And she's like, well, it was always a problem. I just didn't confront you with it before because I didn't want to make you upset. So this is a fascinating story to me. I love it so much. Their relationship is so beautiful, how it all plays out. So I really loved rereading this. Then I actually, this one isn't one of my 6-star books, but I did reread this one because I'd been meaning to get to the audiobook for a while. And so I reread Deviant Hacker by Maggie. This is book 9 in the Mafia Wars and the most recent book that came out. And I really wanted to listen to the audiobook because when she puts out her books, she has the audiobook ready to go, which is awesome. So this one is about Declan, and our heroine's name is Simona. And now this is a daddy kink, age gap, kidnap relationship, okay? Our heroine, Simona, is a college student. She is very poor. She is barely making it day to day, and she is a hacker. And she has been taking these jobs to do these like little jobs online, and she makes like $10 a pop. Well, it turns out that the job that she's doing to make some extra money on the side is fucking with the O'Malley's business. Like, it's fucking with them big time, and it could cause a lot of problems for a scheme that they have had going almost this entire series. And so it's Declan's job to find out who is messing it up and stop them. And it turns out that it's this girl that he had actually flirted with at a bar and thought about taking home with him. And then it turns out it's Simona who's ruining everything. And so he kidnaps her and ties her in his basement and is going to torture her until she explains what she's been doing. The thing is, Simona has no idea what he's talking about because she doesn't even know who the O'Malleys are or Jack Christian or what any of that stuff is. But he doesn't believe her. So there's a little bit of dubious consent and some sexy times that happen, and the daddy comes out in this book. And I love it so much because we see Declan not be nice. He's a very bad man in this book, but he grovels real good once he finds out how bad he fucked up. It's real good. So I love this. I did a reread of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is one of my 6-star books. This book touched my heart so much. I love it so much. I love Nesta and Cassian and the whole crew, and watching her journey, especially this time knowing where it's going and seeing the different pits of despair that she hits along the way, and watching her grow through that, and watching her find, like, honestly, like, realize that Cassian is her true love. Like, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. Loved rereading this. Then I did something a little bit different for me, and I read for the first time Fine Print by Stjepan Sejic. Don't ask me. That is not wrong. I do not know how to pronounce that. And this is the first in a new comic series. It is a very spicy, it is not safe for work comic, if you can't tell from the cover. I read this because Katie Robert had it on her TikTok and was explaining what it was about, and I was like, done, purchased it, and I read it in one sitting. This is a comic where, okay, it's very hard to explain, but there are like angels and demons, and like the demons can make deals with only certain humans. Like there's humans who can see them, and if they can see them, they can make a deal with them. Now, this deal can be like kind of like a wish, can give them like fame and fortune or like whatever, but the payment is, I believe, a full year of like sex with them. I think is how it works out. I'm not fully sure about this. So there's a few different storylines going at once. There's like one character in here who she just wants to win back the love of her life, but she really fucked it up. And then there is also this one demon who's like working in a bookshop, and there's someone who's able to see her, so they might be doing it. And then there's also a angel and a demon who are like totally into each other, and they both feed off of sexual energy, so they like feed off of the other's like orgasm basically. And it's very gay. There is lots of FF couples in here. There are, like, if you can't tell from the cover, I haven't got to this threesome yet that's on the cover, but it is set up at the end of it, because it turns out that there's like 2 demons who are like tied to be like the top demons. So they're the ones that you're supposed to make the sex deal with. And so because they're tied, they both are going to be the ones who have the sex deal with her. Also, these demons are like gender fluid, so they can be either male or female depending on what their partner wants or what they want that day. So there's that. And yeah, that I don't have a full scope of this. I gave this 4 stars. I was very interested. Of course, only the first one was out. I have no idea when the next issue will be out, but I liked it a lot, and I might order a physical copy because it was that hot. We'll see. So yeah, it was a good time. It was a good little like break to fit in there. All right, so then I have another book that I read for a secret project, so you'll definitely see more about this book coming soon. But I read Mountain Rose by Norrah Hess. This book was very interesting. Actually, no, it was not. It was not interesting. I thought it was going to be interesting. This is actually like a forbidden romance, kind of, between this girl, Reagan, and her step-uncle, Chase. So it's kind of like a forbidden age gap thing. But that's not really what was so taboo. Here, I'll show you a closer picture. Sorry that my ring light is making it very shiny. So what happens is Reagan is 18, 19. Her mother has died of consumption, and her mother had written a letter to her younger stepbrother, Chase. So Chase, I believe, is in his like mid-30s. He's not like actually, he might be in his late 20s. I can't remember, because he's a lot younger than his stepsister, but he loved her when they were kids. Like, his dad married her mom, and he was only like a boy when they got married. And so then when she was 18, she married her husband and they moved out west, further west than they were. They're not that far away, but far enough away when it's 1890s or whatever time this one is. Yeah, 1868 in like Oregon and Idaho. And so she hasn't seen her family in all this time. So Chase doesn't realize that his niece is actually 19 because Anne, the mother, writes this letter saying, please come take care of my little Reagan. She has no one to take care of her. So he's thinking she's like 10 or 11. And when he goes to find her, he realizes she's this gorgeous, buxom, beautiful woman who's 19. And then he brings her home to live with him. And he tells everyone that they're married to keep everyone else away from her. He could have just said he was her uncle, but he said he was her husband. And so there was way too much of this book. There was too much miscommunication. There was a lot. And again, you'll hear more about this in the special vlog I have coming. But I don't want to talk about it anymore right now because I did not enjoy this. I gave it 2.5 stars. And 1 full star was for the cover. So, yep. Then I read 12 Nights as His Mistress by Elisa Braden. Look at me. I did read another Christmas novella. I'm so cool. This is one that I was saving for Christmas and I had like forgot. The audiobook is on Anyplay and it was only a 4-hour audiobook. So it literally only took me like 2 hours to listen to it. This one is actually about the son of Lady... It's not Lady Dunstan. I can't remember her name. But there's this crabby, like, older lady in the whole series. And this is her son, who's actually, like, 40 years old. Like, he's older, and he's a widower. He's been a widower for a very long time. And his name is Charlie, and he's very good friends with our heroine, who has lost her husband. And she's been trying to find a new one. And the thing is, her and Charlie have a really deep connection and, like, sexual tension between them. But she actually started to have feelings for him when she was still married to her husband. Nothing happened. There was no cheating. But her husband was, like, very boring and kind of ignored her a lot. And mostly that came from the fact that she is barren. And her husband was very sweet to her. He was never, like, cruel about it, but he was very disappointed when they couldn't have children. And, yeah, it was, like, they had drifted apart because of that. And she doesn't want to do that to our hero because he is the heir, and he needs an heir, and she doesn't want to take that chance away from him. So she's trying to find another husband because she doesn't want to be married. She does actually need to be married because she is, you know, the dowager countess or like whatever she is, because her husband's heir, the one who died, he has a wife and they're very nice to her. They love her, but she's like, but you, like, I can't keep living with you guys. Like, you have your own family. So she has reasons for needing to remarry. And Charlie goes about convincing her that, like, you should be with me. And one of those steps that he takes is that, how about you just let me sleep with you for 12, like, be my mistress for, like, 12 days. And then you can marry someone else. And he's planning to win her over. So it's one of those. And it was sweet. It was cute. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Bound over the holidays, which is the 3rd and final book in the Spider's Mate trilogy by Tiffany Roberts, who will be on my channel in 2 weeks from now, which is awesome. And oh my God, this book, which won't be the last book in this universe. They will be doing stories for the other Vrix males that we have met. But this trilogy about Ivy and Catan has wrapped up, and I love this so much. I really loved where the story went. I loved how their connection grew. I loved a lot of the other characters we got to meet and the new places we got to see in this book. And I just highly recommend it. I know the spider idea scares people, and I completely understand. I do not like spiders, but I tried reading this book because I kept seeing that cover, and I was like, I have to know how this works, and like, how this works. And then I just fell in love. Catan and Ivy have such a beautiful bond, and their love for each other is so precious. Like, honestly, it choked me up so many times. It was so beautiful. So I highly recommend. This was 5 stars, absolutely. And I cannot wait for more of the couples in this series. Like, I can't wait. I'm so excited. And then the last book I finished is another Tiffany Roberts. Obviously, I'm doing my homework for their interview. I read Make Me Burn, which is the first in kind of like a fantasy romance series. And this one is a demon. And then this girl who I was seeing her as like a water nymph is like how I kept describing her, but I know she has a different name. But she is actually lived as a secret on this island, which is a like prison island. And these mages, they can banish demons to this island to keep them away from everyone else. And so our hero, Nathaniel, I can't say his name, he is bad. He has killed people, he has done wrong, he has relished the wars that he has been a part of, and he gets banished to this island only to catch a glimpse of this woman and realize that she is his fated mate. And he doesn't necessarily go about winning her in the gentlest way, but the more he falls for her, the more he tries to change who he is to become worthy of her. And I just thought it was beautiful. The thing that was a bit annoying with this one is that the heroine, she is naive. It is written in that she's naive. Like, I understand that. But she's that kind of naive that can be very frustrating because she's almost too stupid to live, you know? And it's like, there had been someone that was taking care of her for quite a while. And I'm like, why didn't you teach this woman anything about protecting herself, you know? So that was frustrating. But I like the setup of it, and I am going to continue with this series because the next one, I think, is kind of about the villain of this book. He's kind of a villain. He's one of those that's like, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's kind of a villain. And so I want to read more for sure. So I gave this one 4 stars. So there we go. That is everything I read in week 52, which is not my last week of the year, but this is what I read over Christmas and the week before, and it was so much fun. So thank you to the new and returning channel members that I mentioned this week. And again, if you'd like to learn more about that, you can check it out in my description below to see if there's an option you're interested in. And if not, just make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I upload. I have a lot of great videos coming in the next couple weeks, including my favorites of the year. I'll be filming that very soon. And yeah, it's going to be amazing. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.